And if you're going to pay taxes this year, listen to these 4 series now. So next year, you may not have to pay taxes legally. Because if you're paying taxes, you got bad advice. You got very bad advice. Because as you know, the rich pay as little tax as possible. Now, all you Bitcoin fanatics out there, and probably most of you are pretty young, this would be a good time to learn about taxes before the government, Uncle Joe Biden and Kamala and Yellen, Secretary of Treasury, and the Fed take your money from you because they're after Bitcoin big time. So one way they're going to get your money is the same way they got Al Capone. It wasn't for bootlegging. They got Al Capone on taxes. And so always remember, taxes, the number one most important thing in your financial education. Of course, they don't teach you that at school. I have lots of gold. I have lots of real silver. I don't have any paper. I don't like ETFs. And I have oil and I have Bitcoin. So today we're going to be talking about taxes on that. But the reason this is important is the dollar, which is paper, is fake. And you know, today's March something 2021. And Uncle Joe Biden, again, are trying to raise another 1.9 trillion in fake money. Now, every time they print money, the poor get poor. You know, so they all get happy. Oh, Uncle Joe and Janet and Kamala are going to give me money. But you're going to get poorer because your dollar is worth less. And then they go, oh, yeah, I'll get my $1,400 stimmy check and I'll play it on Robinhood and go after GameStop or whatever you guys do. That's stupid. That's really, really stupid. So if they're going to give you free money, do something with it. So buy some gold, silver, Bitcoin, or oil.
That I think is really important. First of all, that any time you use or trade your virtual currency, that's a taxable transaction. So, I mean, let's give an example. Let's say that Bitcoin became a normal trade. You go buy groceries. When you bought groceries with Bitcoin, that would be taxable because it would be considered a trade for Bitcoin for US dollars. So every time you spend Bitcoin, every time you sell Bitcoin, all of that is taxable. And here's the thing. So on your tax return now, there is a box you have to check to say, did you trade Bitcoin? Well, that means, did you do anything other than just buy it? Okay, if you bought it, you don't have to mark that box. But any other use of it, you have to mark that box. If you don't mark that box, Robert, it's a felony. This is not a civil penalty. Most things on a tax return are just civil penalties, right? They're just, okay, I pay the penalty, get my wrist slapped, and I go on my way. Not with this one. This is a felony. They will come after you if you don't mark that. And in fact, you should have marked it.
I buy, but I never sell. And if I paid somebody in Bitcoin, what would happen then, John?
That would be taxable. So if you paid them,
the person I pay,
it'd be taxable both for you and for the person you pay. That's right.
After I've paid all the taxes, which I don't pay anyway, and I store the Bitcoin into my asset column, and it sits there. It's like my gold and silver, right? As long as I'm not using it, it's not taxable.
It's actually just like the gold and silver. So the same thing would happen if you went and used silver or silver or gold to buy something. That would be a taxable transaction too. So it's very similar to gold and silver. The one difference is that if you hold Bitcoin for over a year, you do get capital gains rates. So you get to tax that at 15% or 20% instead of ordinary income. Gold and silver have a different tax rate than that. So that's the one primary difference between the two.
All you new Bitcoin billionaires or soon to be billionaires, you want to know what to do before you do something stupid, like spend it.
A lot of the issue that I think people have is tracking it. The whole goal for Bitcoin is not to be tracked, but the reality is that if you ever were to start to use it, or when you trade it, you do have to track that and you do have to report that, just like if you were trading stocks or foreign currency, something like that. So, the compliance part of it, I think, is one of the most difficult parts of Bitcoin is you still have to comply. Just because it's not a it's not a foreign currency. Just because it's not the US dollar, just because it's not a stock, doesn't mean you don't have to report that transaction on your tax return and pay tax. And I think that's the most important thing. I think people miss that all the time, that they need to know that they're in big trouble if they don't report this correctly. The IRS will come after them. Can they track it? No, they can't right now. And it's a voluntary system, right? Frankly, all of our taxes are a voluntary system. But when they audit you and they ask you that question, if you say no, that's a felony. So just know that if they do catch you, you're in pretty big trouble. Obviously the IRS is going to check on that. And the IRS is doing more and more audits, and they're doing more and more audits on cryptocurrency. Here's the thing. People think, well, I have Bitcoin and so I'm good, but you only can use that Bitcoin for the most part if you convert it to dollars, right? I mean, it's not like there's a huge marketplace where you can go out and buy houses using Bitcoin. Most people aren't going to accept Bitcoin in exchange for their house. And so you're exchanging it for dollars. When you do that exchange, that's where the IRS is going to track you. So it's converting it from Bitcoin to something else like dollars. That's where the IRS tracks you, and know that that's pretty easy for them to track. Well, so there are major incentives in the tax law for buying real estate, investment real estate. So you get the big tax deductions from the real estate that offset the income from the business. So effectively, you end up not paying tax on the business income because you did what the government wanted you to do and put it into real estate. And you know very well, Robert, the same thing happens if you put it into oil, right? Or if you put it into solar. You get the same type of tax benefits so that you're not paying tax on your business income or your other income.
So I'm going to take it to because this is what we teach through our cash flow clubs. This is advanced tax strategy and real estate strategy. So it's 5 million. Let's say that 5 million property appreciates up to 10 million. I borrow out the 5. So it went from 5 million. It's now worth 10 million. Kenny raises the rents. I pull out $5 million in cash. Is that tax-free money?
That is tax-free money. Debt is not taxable.
And with that, I buy Bitcoin.
Exactly. So that's how you make your Bitcoin not taxable. Or, you have other options too. I mean, you can buy Bitcoin in, for example, you could buy Bitcoin in your Roth IRA. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do here once you understand the tax law and how the incentives work.
See, the problem with most people is when they make some money, they want to spend it. And that's the problem. Oh, I'm a billionaire in Bitcoin, but I can't spend a thing because my capital gains tax will be through the roof. But there's things you can do if you have a great tax strategist like Tom. Now, all the communists and the pinkos and the school teachers out there say, well, that's not fair. Well, that's what Hillary Clinton attacked my friend Donald Trump. She says, you don't pay any taxes. And as Trump said to Hillary, but this is 2016 or whatever it was, that means I'm smart. Just because you make a lot of money and you pay taxes means you're stupid. So my Bitcoin is totally tax-free simply because this is my general policies. I make $1 million here. It comes down here. Kenny borrows $4 million, so I have $4 million in debt and liabilities. We buy a $5 million property. The $5 million property we raise the rent. It goes up to 10. I borrow out the 5 and I buy Bitcoin in it. So if you understand that, that's why Donald Trump says that means I'm smart. So just because you're rich in Bitcoin or gold or silver doesn't mean you're smart.